This time on Shift Points, Jackson gets this thing polished up.
Finally.
Thanks for joining. Okay, we're back working on this 1955 Chevy truck. You guys have seen us kind of start working on the paint on this thing before. The big thing being that it had the white spots on the fender specifically, some overspray, and there's actually still a little in spots, but it's way better than it was. So you can kind of see the residue that's on here right now. That's from us taking some silver Scotch-Brite, some gray Scotch-Brite, and going over and just kind of scuffing this paint up. So from where we had to kind of take care of the white overspray that was on it, we wanted to go ahead and kind of match that scuff, because we ended up having to use Scotch-Brite to even get that white off at all. So we wanted to go ahead and even this truck out and kind of get it all down to this kind of dull, to kind of the dull color that it was at. So we went ahead and went over the whole truck, or I'm working on right now, finishing up the roof actually with the gray Scotch-Brite. Once we do that, Jackson's already over here working on the, he has a clay bar, and he's going over and just taking all this residue off and kind of getting us kind of to a ground zero, if you will, to kind of where we are right here. So once we get it to there, the plan is we got some stuff from chemical guys, and we're going to use that to start polishing and kind of get this back up a little bit, see if we can get some of the scuff out that was caused by the Scotch-Brite and stuff. So that's the plan right now. So we're going to go ahead and finish scuffing it and then hit it with clay bar and go from there. Alright, so we're back again today working on the paint on this thing. Jackson's back. We've been polishing. You guys kind of saw it. We got a little late on us. We started working on we got the left rear fender and the door done. We're going to kind of work our way around the rest of this today. The plan was to go here to this fender, but there is a pretty healthy chunk of paint missing out of this. So you can see we've already kind of masked off and used some of this cardboard here. We're going to take and just put a little primer on it, hit it with that close color match that we have for this, and that should, especially after it dries good and Jackson polishes it and everything, I think it'll be close enough of a match that we'll call it good. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I've already got that taped off, and we're going to go ahead and, I guess, prime it and put a little bit of, and color match it here real quick. And then Jackson's going to start working on that, and I'm going to start using the hand buffer to buff some of the other little stuff. Jackson has been putting in some work on this thing. You guys saw it in the time lapse there, and this paint is turning out just way better than we ever expected it to. I don't know if you can kind of see, there's definitely some spots where it's still really scratched. I mean, it was pretty much our only option to get that white overspray off that we could find, at least, because it was on there so heavy. But we knew this paint wasn't going to be perfect by any means, but man, this is polished up way better than we expected it to. We've been using this Chemical Guys C4. It's a clear cut correction and a protection paint polish. And he's been doing that and then doing the compound and then doing this using just this buffer and like a heavy compound wheel, right?
Yeah, there's a heavy wheel and a medium wheel.
So he's been starting with the heavy and then going to the medium. And man, like I said, it's just way better than we ever expected it to be. I'm finishing up the clay bar on that side. It took me way longer than I expected it to do it. He's working his way this direction on that, and we're just going to kind of meet in the middle, I guess. But yeah, super happy with this. It's Yeah, it's perfect. Like as far as what we're concerned, it's perfect. We have also been I've looked at the tune on this thing a little bit. I worked on the fuel trims. We started getting some like weird codes and some different stuff that were going on. I didn't really know what the heck was going on. If you guys go back and watch the episode where we took this truck to Patton a few weeks ago, there's a guy named Matt Evans that was on there. He reached out to me after he watched the video and told me that he'd been doing tuning for about 4 years and some stuff like that, and if we needed anything to let him know, which is just super, super cool. And that's one thing that I love about this with the YouTube stuff that we're doing is we're starting to meet people that we had never met before and people that are doing really interesting stuff, and one of them being him. I talked to him this morning, and we texted back and forth quite a bit last night, and he sent over a tune and got this thing drivability wise like way, way, way better than it was. So he did a few things. He said he worked with the timing, he worked with the fuel, and did some stuff like that, and got it really woke up. It cruises way better. It's just like a completely different truck at this point. We're going to try hopefully next week to go out there with him, and he's going to sit in the truck and ride with us, and he's going to fine tune it and do some work on that. But I definitely wanted to let him know that we really appreciate it, and it's really cool that he's helping us out with that. So we are very happy with it, and like I said, we're going to start putting some more miles on it and some stuff like that. And we're going to put some more miles on this thing and kind of work and try and get it ironed out a little bit more. But definitely, if you need any tune work, make sure you reach out to Matt Evans and check him out. Because like I said, just even with him not even being here, made a huge, huge difference in this thing. So we appreciate it, Matt. Alright, you saw Dad welding that up, so he's got this welded up. He's going to take a flat bisque and just go ahead and get that took down a little, and we'll kind of scuff this a little and do the same thing that we're doing to the other parts of the truck. Wrap it up, put a little primer, a little bit of paint on it, and then let that stuff dry. I'm about to work on this piece right here, and this is already in color as you guys saw. So we'll go ahead and get this piece taken care of, let that cool down, and then my guy Jackson's back there polishing away. Say hi, Jackson. Wow. That's a very sharp line.
Take a
Wow.
smooth that out.
Wow.
I moved the camera.
No, what'd you move the camera for?
I bumped it with my hand.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Wow.
fine.
That is some sharp lines. That masking tape works really well.
Well, it's gonna look ridiculous is what this is gonna do.
This shouldn't be too bad because I got the lines a little closer on this one. So it's not the most amazing thing. What?
See any more holes while I got this welder?
I didn't see any more. I just saw that one.
Shine that flashlight in here and see through it. I'll put this up.
Right there.
Yeah.
I think you're good, Diddy.
Okay, good deal. Good deal.
So what I was saying is these are definitely not amazing, but hopefully after a little polishing they'll at least kind of somewhat blend in. That color's definitely quite a bit darker, but like I said, after a little polish maybe it'll at least blend in. Still better than having a big old gouge. I don't even care about, I mean the rest of the paint's really immaculate, so that's really the only bad spot. Just kidding. we're getting ready to take this thing back up to Patton Avenue again. Doug and everybody up there is planning to kind of do that at the first Saturday of each month. I think we've mentioned that before, but we're going to remind you guys. So each Saturday, the first Saturday of each month, we're going to try and get together, have a cruise in kind of up there, try and get everybody together, try and kind of get that kind of revitalized a little, if you will. While we were doing that, we decided that the plugs that were in this thing, they're the ones that were in the engine when we got it. So they've been sitting there for however long time, and decided it might not be such a bad idea to go ahead and just pull them off and put in some new plugs. So we pulled them out. Nothing just like too terribly crazy, but definitely wouldn't hurt to have some new ones in there. So we went ahead and got those pulled out. Ran up to the Napa store, and Napa's got some NGKs for these engines. So we got a full set of those. And the other thing that we had that we guess probably happened when the engine was either being pulled or at some point, because it was in a kind of like a salvage yard kind of thing. At some point during that process or during the wreck of the truck, this ignition coil on number 7 had gotten broken. So you can see that right here, that the end of this is broken off. You can actually see the, I guess like the electrode part of it stuck out. And if you compare that to the other coils, you can see how much longer that is supposed to be. So we did go ahead, so you can see direct comparison to kind of see how much is broken off. So we don't know if that's kind of contributing to anything, or but we figured better safe than sorry. So we went ahead and got a new coil up there, got new spark plugs. We're going to use the same wires for now. Those things seem to be working really good at this point. Nothing too crazy. Probably at some point before we leave for Power Tour, we'll go ahead and put new plugs on it too, or plug wires on it too, I would guess. But this should be good enough to get us going today. Again, Matt has done wonders for this truck already, and he hasn't even laid eyes on it yet. So that's really good. Excited to get him to kind of see it. Hopefully he'll be there tonight. We can kind of he can see what he's getting into before we bring it to him whenever he calls us. So that'll be really great. So we're gonna go ahead and get these plugs in, kind of see how it goes. So I know we're going back to the old list. I went ahead and erased the old list. It's all gone. Everything was done on it, got it checked off except for a couple things, and they're back on this list. So I'm going to run through this just super fast to kind of show you what we've got, what really needs to be done before we leave for Power Tour. We went ahead and got that gas lid panel welded up, so that's already marked off. We got some horns at Dale Wagner that we got from Dale Wagner. They're actually Corvette horns, so we're going to go ahead and get those put on and installed and wired up. I got to figure out why the dome light doesn't work. Still not 100% sure on that. The weather stripping on the door is in the door, but it's been pulled off the channel as we worked on other stuff. Dynamite in the roof to kind of help with some heat issues. Install the headliner. We're going to go through the brakes again and just check them again. The brake has it's a little bit of a long travel, and we're not 100% sure what's going on. The brakes are all there, and they're very firm when you get on them, but the pedal's got quite a bit of travel. So it's either we're gonna try to re-bleed them first, and potentially might have to lengthen that rod that's going into the master cylinder to try and help that travel a little bit. There's a pedal seal that we can put in place here. We got to get the heater fixed so it doesn't run all the time, because this thing gets really hot. Definitely need some windshield wipers in case we get caught in some rain. And then the rest of this stuff's basically just kind of like little stuff where we want to kind of nut and bolt everything before we go anywhere with it, and just do a quick check on it. So in general, that's the list that we're working on at this point. And the big thing is put miles on it. Get miles on it, make sure we don't have any craziness. Probably this coming week we'll get this thing jacked up, go through the brakes, and just get a one-over on everything. Make sure there's no nuts or bolts that are loose, and just make sure everything looks good. Make sure there's no wires against exhaust or anything like that. And yeah, do a quick check of everything, make sure everything's good, and then we can continue forward. So you've seen us kind of working on this thing, getting polished. You saw us take a little trip up to Patton Avenue. Just saw some of the cars that were up there. Didn't really get any interviews this time, but sometimes, you know, people like to have the video camera kind of not in their face all the time. I try to make sure that everybody kind of appreciates that. And to be honest, I like to be able to just kind of take everything in without being behind the camera all the time too. So, like I said, you saw the cars, some of the cars that were up there. You can always check that out on the first Saturday of each month. Just a reminder for that. Well, today we've been working on these running boards again. It's kind of been driving Dad a little crazy on how we run. Everything on the truck was level except for the running boards. They ran downhill. From the back of the truck toward the front of the truck, we tried every way in the world to try and make that work a little better. And finally this morning, I think he's kind of got it figured out what he's gonna do. So you can see here, the truck is setting up on the jack stands level, and we basically have the running board level as well. You see what happens is there's nothing in the front of this that's bolting that to the front fender. There are 3 bolts in the rear fender that attach the running board here. And with it running level now, because we raised the bed like we talked about to get that running right, you see this pretty good gap here between this splash apron and the running board itself. So, like I said, so this is how we want it to be, but we've got this right here. So that's going to we'll end up drilling a couple new holes away from these original ones to get this where it needs to be on the fender to get it bolted up. And then Dad's actually making a filler panel here. So he's made basically a C-channel piece that goes in there. It'll get bolted in these 3 bolt holes that are already in the running board, and then 3 here in this splash apron. That'll make this a super solid, basically one piece that'll get filled here, and it actually runs up under the cab here also and fills basically all the way up here to where that gap, or to where right there at the door, at the rocker, I mean. So that fills all of this now. So he's over here, you probably heard him in the background, drilling on it. He's over here, he's actually in the back shop already. Go back here. He's got it in his hand. So he drilled a clearance for a 1/4 20 in this piece. So like I said, you can see this is just a C channel, and he's drilled holes in the top of it and in the bottom of it, and then you can kind of see what that whole piece kind of does and fills that gap everywhere. So I can quickly show you roughly what this will look like in place. And if we go right there, it's a snug fit, of course. It's not perfectly in place, but it's going to set something like that. And when this gets bolted down in place, it'll get rid of any gap that we've got there, and it really just fills all that up. If we primer it, I'll probably just use that brown primer because it seems to match a little better than the paint we have, and that seems like it's going to do exactly what I want it to. Get the running board running level. It's just going to kind of improve a lot of situations all in kind of one little swoop piece. So that's really good. That will make him very happy because it has been driving me crazy. It had me too, but I wasn't just completely wound up about it. It was just one of them things where it was just like, well, with everything else we need to kind of get done on the truck, I'm not too worried about it. This will probably be kind of the last beauty piece, if you will.
It will be the last.
As far as that goes, any sort of thing like that, we're going to get back to all of the essentials that we need. We got to make sure the windshield wipers are working. We got to get, you guys saw the list earlier in this video that we talked about. We're going to have to do some of that stuff and make sure that this thing's fully functional, because we're like 50 some days away from power tour. And so yeah, we're just going to keep going with it as it's going right now and just get some major functional things done. So you guys have seen us, me and Jackson, working on the paint on this thing. It really shined up really nice. We're very happy with it. One thing that we didn't have that I went ahead and got ordered was this Chemical Guys heavy metal polish. And I used that on a Mother's, one of those power balls like you use on your wheels. I put some of this on, and I shined up the grill of this thing today. All the bezels around the headlights, around the parking lights, the grill, and then the front bumper. And I should have gotten a little bit of footage of it before I got started on this bumper, because it's way better. That Chemical Guy stuff works really good. We're not sponsored by them or anything like that. It's just Jackson's been using their stuff, and he's the one who kind of brought it to our attention. It's really got this stuff looking really good. Shined it up a lot. Just shining this front end up and shining the truck up with all that stuff, it's kind of give a new lease on life for this thing. Just made it way better than we expected it to be, and so that's really nice to have that going. So those are kind of the big stuff that we've been working on, and I wanted to kind of get you guys caught up on where we were. Well, for anybody that is enjoying their morning commute to work here on Asheville, you're welcome for causing just a little delay. We taking this thing up here, we're gonna get one of Dad's good friends to letter the doors. Dad was driving it and getting on 240 here in Asheville, and the right front tire just locked up, brakes locked up. Don't know what's going on. It kind of acted a little weird last night, but it was the first time it had ever tried to do anything like that. And so now we're sitting here waiting on AAA to come get us. Luckily, I was able to come get him in the Tahoe. So, yeah, but we told you we'd show you real life. This is real life sometimes.